All right, so let's see how we go with this one. I haven't tried this one before, but coming up with some ideas for a Friday Spry play. So one of the things that we're able to do now is store the hours from the previous schedule run back onto the calendar table, and in particular, that'll help you understand whether or not you had hours of things meeting targets. And oftentimes, so if we throw down equipment by month, we'll pull in calendar hours. But oftentimes, you might have a very specific issue in a moment on the schedule, but you need to understand the time around it so that you can solve the problem. It's not necessarily always just as simple as saying, oh, there's an issue with the way that I've scheduled. You may actually need to look backwards or forwards through the model to understand roughly when you need to correct something. So we've got this value here for no available work, which is probably useful in this model to think about it in terms of the dozer fleet, because it comes off and on again and it might be worth having a look at. So what we're going to do is, for the dozer, we're going to go to our calendar table, and I've already got something set up on here to know how many hours. Sorry, I'm just fighting a sneeze there. How many hours there should be in the month. You can do this a number of different ways. You could try to reach a certain operating hours target. I'm going to keep it simple, but the same concept would apply for trying to do it to meet a target of some description, and whether or not you met the target for the period of time you're interested in. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a dozer, and I'm going to put in a number of what are we going to call it? Waiting. What's it called? No available work. And so what we're going to do with this is we'll let that get summed up. And what we're going to do is, with our post schedule task, I've already created one here, but I haven't actually entered anything into it yet. So post schedule tasks. So we're going to write to the no available work from the it's not going to let me pick it from the process filter, which is minor annoyance. As I said, I haven't actually tried to do this yet. Dozer fleet. The value expression, so we're going to sum up the calendar hours. Control space that one. Calendar hours. And then we're going to filter it on the non-productive process for no available work. So that one there, so the filter would be process equals process no available work. So the rest of that, I don't need to touch. Run conditions, probably useful for it to be only run on source scheduling. If you don't actually know exactly how to use a post schedule task, we're probably glossing over a little bit of information here, but I've just run it manually, but this will also run every single time the schedule gets run. And what we'll find is that for each period, the amount of no available work has been written back to the table. Okay, so you can see that 466 hours, etc. So anytime that number is greater than 0, I'm going to add that to my equipment label for the month. Now you could do other things with it, but I find the equipment label in this example probably be the most useful. So I'm going to go over to my equipment label. Not here, sorry. Over to my animation is what I want. Now, the equipment label for this one is going to be a little lengthy, but it really, there's a couple of different ways you could write it to try and make it a little easier. I'm going to take out the one that I've got here, and I'm going to use a trick which I've pointed out in a previous video, where you can use an open square bracket to sort of comment things out. So I'm just going to leave that there. And what I'm going to do is go if my equipment, I won't go with equipment type, we'll go with equipment dozer fleet. If equipment equals equipment alpha dozer fleet, which is the one we're using here. And now what we can do is we can look up our calendar field. So our calendar table has this value on it now for no available work. So we can say and that number is greater than 0. Then we're going to add, what are we going to do here? We'll add in not fully utilized and utilized. Could spell, that would be helpful. And now that I've started to do this, I've realized actually a better way to do it. So what we're going to do here, and if that's not true, we're just going to put in an empty series of quotes. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add it to the existing label. Okay, so I'll put this in the description, what I've used here. So we're saying if the equipment is equal to the dozer fleet and this value is greater than 0, then put in this no, not fully utilized. And what this will do is, if we go to our animation for a moment, this model's a bit of a work in progress, so it probably is a little all over the place. But if we go across to our animation, I would expect that the dozer fleet for the first month, which is January in this model, does not show anything, because for that month, it's fine. And then what we can do is we can roll forward to February and have a look at the dozer. So let's go forward a couple of weeks. And you can see here, so my son's just watching me have a bit of work. I won't be long, buddy. You can see here that there is a not fully utilized on the dozer fleet for that month. Now you could do that in a couple of ways. If you wanted to, you could also add, I'll be 1 minute, mate. You could add a new line as well. You could capitalize it. There's a number of different things you could do. Plus, we could go not fully utilized. Now, there's a couple of other things you could do as well. So I think get values in here. Can they go to a parent? No, not in this example. So we don't let you go to the year level, but this will take you to whatever level the lowest level of your calendar is. So I suppose what it is, it's designed to try and give you an idea of whether or not within that time, without you needing to go back to your Gantt chart, without you needing to go back to your pivot table, a way to sort of see whether or not you're reaching targets. You might want to use that for your coal excavators. You might want to use that just on your waste excavators. You may want to show for every single waste excavator whether or not you hit your overburden, like whether or not you exposed enough coal. So it might say not enough coal exposed for the month on the label. So once again, you're not having to go back to your results. You're already looking at your animation. So there's a number of different things you could probably find that these are useful for. I just wanted to give you an example of one for the time being, and I'll leave it at that. I hope that adds some inspiration for you to get some extra things out of your schedule, make it a little bit easier for you. If you have any questions about how that's working, if it's not working for you, or you want it to do something that it just can't quite do yet, let us know. support@precisionmining.com, or during business hours, give us a buzz. It's 07 3539 0000. Thank you as always to those of you watching for your attention. Have a good one, and we'll see you next time.